you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hola, everyone. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you are having a fantastic day as always. And, there's a lot of things that I had been thinking about sharing, but this one I think is extremely important. It's something that I've just gone through recently, and I want to share it with you. I don't know. It's a tough one, but it's one of the things that can really wreck your decision-making process. I mean, when you go through a mindset or a situation that makes you feel a certain kind of way, it affects everything you think is true, everything you feel is true, everything you see. It affects everything. Every decision you make will be affected by this one emotional thing. And man, interesting. So I'll get into it in a minute, but I just want to tell you like a little bit of backdrop, right? So recently I've gone through a lot of stuff and a lot of things, and I'm having to make this very, very important decision. But I feel like it's a decision that as a business owner, it's something that I need to do that's in the best interest of the business and things like that. But from an emotional standpoint, I'm kind of torn. And so Sunday morning, I woke up early and I got in the car, I packed my gym bag. And usually Sunday mornings I go to the gym, I try to get there. Anytime I go to the gym, I try to get there by 7:00. So got to Starbucks, got my coffee, changed up my coffee so that it's not as strong. So it's a milder version of coffee so that you don't get super jittery and stuff like that. But, it's coffee nonetheless. So I get in the car, and instead of taking a left turn and going towards the gym, I take a right turn. I'm like, why am I turning right? I take a right turn. And then I start driving. And I drive into town, and then I drive into, I stopped, got some gas. I was like, okay. Then I started driving up the street some more, and I found myself heading towards a place that I probably haven't been to in 10 years. I live 30 minutes away from the place. I mean, it's not that far, but I haven't been there in at least 10 years, even more. It's like the amphitheater or the bowl section of Cockle Park. And so, it was wrought with homelessness and stuff like that. And it wasn't safe to go over there because it was just a lot of negative, nasty stuff. That park used to be beautiful, but then because of the homeless crisis, it just got turned upside down. And so they cleaned it out. They cleaned out all the tent cities. I mean, it was bad. My heart breaks for these folks. But a lot of these folks were just coming here, and because it's warm weather, and they got one-way tickets here because, Hawaii's warm weather, and they get money from the government and the state to live and stuff like that. They get on welfare and stuff like that. And so anyway, that got cleaned up. And so I went, nobody was in the park. It's 6:30, 6:00, whatever. Nobody, hardly, I didn't see anybody in that little section. So I get there and I sit down and I have my cup of coffee and I'm just sitting there. And I used to remember going to this park years ago to this businessman's Bible study. And this park would have 30, 40, 50 people at these meetings. And we were all people believing God and, praying with each other and, hearing stories and business successes and testimonies about all the things that are great things that are happening. We had people building high-rise buildings there. I mean, it was some of who's who coming to that park to speak to these business people. And I remember at the time, I was working for this company in town and stuff like that. And long story short, I quit, started my own business, and then it failed. And then, I had to pick myself up from the ashes. And so, but when I was there, I remember specifically talking to someone and I said, I really want to start my own company again, but I just don't want to go back through what I went through before, being evicted, when my wife was 8 months pregnant. I didn't tell the story before. I had no shame in that. I'm embarrassed that it happened. And I pray to God that it never happens again. But I just said, I just don't want that to happen again. And he said, you know what? It won't. As long as you do what you need to do and it's the right thing to do, it won't happen ever again. You will be wildly successful or something to the nature like that. And so I was just crying and bawling my eyes, all kind of stuff. And I was just like, it was just me and that person in the park at that time. I got there early. And so anyway, I was sitting there and I was just reminiscing back on those times where I had nothing. And I would just be like believing and believing and believing and just trying to like find and hook up and just, meet with people and just like try to glean from them and just figure out what I needed to do. So that moment, I realized something was wrong with my decision making process. And I figured out what it was. I had been severely offended by something that had happened recently. I had been severely offended. And the title of my message today is Take No Offense. Take no offense. Because I tell you, when you're offended, everything goes wrong. Are you ready to get this? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Take no offense. So anyway, I don't even know where to start with this. But on the way to the office the other day, I called up a good friend of mine and I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. And, you kind of been with me through thick and thin. You're one of the people that are in my corner. You're one of the people, you always have my back. So here's what I'm thinking. And they said, long story short, you've been talking about this for years. Go for it. It's time to take care of you. Go for it. And I was like, wow. And so I began to share the story about what had happened to me and, why I got so offended. It was a business situation where, I was falsely accused, or I wouldn't say falsely accused, but I don't know what's the word. Somebody told me that I didn't do something that I was supposed to do. And I look back in all my notes and I look back in everything that I've done. And I was like, I got mad. And I'm like, you know what? I try to come in here and give it everything I got. Maybe I could have done something a little bit differently, had I known how the reaction was going to be. Maybe I would have done something differently. Maybe I would have read through some of the lines and I would have read through some of the things I was being told. And maybe I would have thought that maybe that what they're telling me is not true. So maybe I need to do something different. They put me in a situation where I had to read their mind. And I hate having to read people's mind when they don't communicate properly the way they're supposed to. And it was just a bad situation that I probably shouldn't have been in the first place. My thing is I always want to help people. I want to do the best I can. And I want to make a difference in the lives of everybody that I come across. But sometimes it takes time. And one of the things that gets me upset is that people are very impatient. They want microwave results. And when they don't see things going their way, they fall off. They bail on you. They throw salt at you. All kinds of stupid stuff like that will happen. But for me, the move I made that was wrong is I got offended. I got angry. Like things rose up on the inside of me that are not supposed to be there. And these feelings are not supposed to be there. It was almost like a sense of rage or something like that. I'm not a violent person. I mean, I'm cool. I'm real cool. Like if you know me and you spend time with me, I'm cool. I like to joke. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I'm cool. But when something like that happens, and this wasn't the only time that it happened, it's happened several times. And every single time I felt like, I've explained things and I've done the best that I could do with what I had, with the situation I was given. Maybe I could have done something just a little bit different. And that's why I said I'm trying to get from being good to being better to being the best. But that's a process. I was like, oh man, this hurts. This hurts. This hurts. Shot after shot, body blow after body blow. And the knockout punch was when I finally got offended. And I was like, oh my God, why am I making these decisions like this? Why do I feel this way about this one particular thing or the other? It's because I was offended. I was hurt. I was vulnerable. And I wanted to lash out. And it was hard. And so I had to humble myself. And this is the point that I'm getting at. Is that I humble myself and I had to forgive the people that did what they did. And I said, okay, it's not me. The gifts and the talents that you put inside me, yeah, I have to work hard and stuff like that, but I got to recognize something. It ain't me. I didn't give myself gifts and talents. Now, the gifts and talents I have allowed me to go get skills. And that's what you do with your skills. You use your gifts and your talents to go get skills, and then you use your skills to make revenue and to generate and to grow and to make a difference in the lives of other people. But boy, when I got offended, none of that stuff worked. My thought process became infected with the wrong things: negativity, self doubt, loss of confidence. And it was like a pity party. Woe is me because I got offended. And when you're offended, you can't see straight. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to put this out there. I think when you get offended, it's almost no different than being drunk or being high, because the Bible talks about when you're drunk or you're high, your mind takes things and it turns them the wrong way. In other words, when you're making decisions and you're going through things and you're having to decide things, you're making decisions based on information that's been turned upside down. And you can't think straight, but you think you are seeing straight, but you're not. Your brain has been infected and you're going to make a horrible decision. And so sitting in this park, a sense of peace came over me when I began to let this stuff go. And I began to humble myself and say, you know what? Things are going to happen, but I can't rise up and get frustrated and get angry and start to make bad decisions. And so sometimes when I put out these shows, some people may get offended. Sometimes when I put out newsletters to my clients, I'll say things that sometimes people will get offended. And why? Well, a lot of different reasons. They get offended because they're not looking at things objectively. That's number one. You get offended when you're not looking at things objectively. Number two, you get offended because of projections and things like that, right? You think you know what I mean. You think you know where I'm coming from, or you think you know where the other person is coming from. And then number three, you begin to become judgmental. You begin to pronounce judgment on the person or the situation. You cast judgment. Oh, you're trying to hurt me. That's why you're trying to hurt me intentionally. You know how I feel about that, and you're trying to hurt me. You hurt me, right? And then you get offended. And so now you've already like sentenced that person to death in your mind. I know this is a financial show, but I'm telling you straight up, people make bad decisions with money because they've been offended. I'm going to get you. I'm going to go after you. I'm going to get my own revenge. I'm going to stick it to you. Those kinds of things. Why do you think a lot of lawsuits happen? People get offended and they don't go and try to work that situation out. And they don't try to fix the situation that they've gotten themselves into. If somebody comes to me and they accuse me of something that I've done wrong to them, and if they think they're true, that's fine. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to try to make that person whole. Okay. And the reason why I try to make people whole is because that's what Jesus did. He tried to make people whole. So if you've done something with me and I've done something with you and I've hurt you or you feel offended in some kind of way, you got to come and bring that to me and tell me, and then I'm going to do my best to make it right. Okay. I call that buying back your reputation, making sure you have a good name, because Proverbs says a good name is better than silver and gold, right? A good name. What's that called? That's called credit. Okay. You want an 850 or 900, whatever credit score. You want that same kind of credit score with humanity. You don't want a bad credit score with humanity. So even if that person is wrong, and I know they're wrong, they're dead wrong, I'm still going to fix my credit with them. Okay. I'm going to do my best to put myself back in good standing with them so that they don't go out and do something crazy. Now, if I put myself back in good standing with people and they still go out and they do something like that anyway, that's on them, right? But I am trying to get my conscience clear, because when your conscience is clear, okay, you sleep better at night and you make sound decisions, right? You're not making decisions out of an angry heart, right? When you're calm and you're not offended, you're not going to call me and tell me to sell your stock because you're offended by this one company. You don't like Disney because of whatever they got going on. You don't like Tesla because you don't like Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with the fundamentals. And the reason why I'm saying this is this: if you're a busy working professional, okay, you have a lot of other things to be concerned about, not necessarily about what the companies are doing inside of your portfolio, unless these companies are just horrible, evil people trying to destroy the planet and, trying to destroy humanity and mankind. Then no, you don't want to support anything like that. But when you have great, solid companies, okay, generating great revenues, right, making a difference in society for the most part, you want to hitch your wagon to those companies. Now, sometimes there's going to be bumps in the road, but when you get offended or you get emotional, then you're going to get in there and you're going to start making decisions and making mistakes. And you're going to be trading good, solid companies for ones that maybe they're solid and they're okay, but they trade sideways. They trade within range. You can be in that same stock for like 5 years and it only be up a total of like, say, 10% over the 5 years, right? While other stocks are up, I don't know, 100, 200, 1,500%, because you've gotten offended and something came across the wrong way and it's affecting everything you think, you see, you feel, you do, and you believe. So I want to encourage you that. And here's the situation: whenever you feel like somebody offended you, and I got to put this out there because we live in a society right now that is so torn apart. We live in a society that's so divided, right? Everybody's in one camp or the other camp. I'm for something, I'm against something. You say, hey, I'm for this. If they're in the other camp, I hate that. Wait a minute. It's like saying Jello versus Jello pudding. I love Jello pudding. I hate Jello pudding. It sucks. Like, wait a minute. Why? I don't know, because you said you like it. Look, I'm sorry, but that kind of childishness in our society, it's becoming more and more prevalent, and more people are easily offended than ever before. So here's some advice: get this thing settled in your heart. If somebody has offended you, do me a favor, go to that person, tell them what they've done. Okay. If it was a blatant offense and you're for sure that it was a blatant offense, tell them, look, I don't appreciate how this went down. Okay. And we need to get this right. All right. And then hear them out. Okay. And if they say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. If they had a history of doing something like that, then, okay, they're just, they're not being serious with you. But if they say, I'm genuinely sorry, like, I didn't mean that. Like, I didn't mean it to go down like that. Then you accept that person's apology and then you get your heart right and then you move on, because your future depends on that, right? You got kids now saying, I'm not going to go to college in this state or that state because they're a red state or a blue state. I'm not doing this. I'm not. Look, life is not about that. I think we have too many childish people in our society, and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. As adults, if you want to be the adult in the room and you want to be a successful person moving forward with your finances and everything there is that you do in your life, this one thing must not be allowed to stay in your life, and that is being offended. Now, if I offend you in any way, you got to think about why you got offended in the first place. If you got offended because I told you the truth and you don't want to hear it, that's a different story. Now, there's no such thing as my truth. I'm going to tell you that this is my truth. There's no such thing. Life is like this. It's either black or white, right? Either it is or it is not. There is no in between. The in between comes from people that create those gray areas. And that's a different conversation for a different day. People create gray areas on purpose because gray areas cause confusion. When there's confusion, money can be made on confusion. It's called volatility. The stock market is a prime example of volatility, confusion that's created, right? Now, there are things that are and there's things that are not. Anything else in between is confusion and volatility. And that's caused on purpose, right? I hate to say it, but I see it every single day. It's caused on purpose. So some people make money, some people lose money. That's very important. But when your heart is clean and your head is clear, right, and your hands are clean, then you don't let it rule over your life. You take authority over offense. Do your best not to get offended. Try not to be so thin-skinned about stuff. Try to understand where other people are coming from. This is all stuff this is common sense 101. This is common sense 101. We all know this. We were all raised like this for the most part. Common sense 101, right? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's what they call the golden rule. But if you don't want to make a bad financial decision, then you can't get offended. And if you do get offended, you got to get unoffended. ASAP. Because the next decision you make depends on it. Okay. And we're all going to have to make smart decisions moving forward because in the economy that we're in right now, we're in a situation where if you have cash and you have money, then you can take advantage of opportunities where people are bailing out on things because the economy is probably going to get a lot tougher than it is right now. Companies are going to start cutting back. People are going to start losing jobs. And it's unfortunate. But this country is in a situation where we need to make wise decisions in order to make sure that our families are taken care of for years and generations. And, we get through this and we come out good on the other side. But being offended is the worst way to see ourselves through it. So if you're offended, figure out how to get unoffended because it's going to affect your finances. And that's pretty much what I want to share with you folks today. Humble yourself. Just take a load off. Don't put so much importance on yourself. And that's what I suffered from for so long, self-importance. Like, who do they think I am? Like, or who do they think they are? So I had to humble myself from that kind of thought process. And so it's good for your soul. It's good for your soul. It's good for your mind. It's good for your sleep. And so if you're struggling with something like that, I'll definitely pray for you folks in my time. And then on the other side, when it comes to your finances, if you've made bad decisions in your finances because you've been offended, if you sold some stocks or you've done something because you've gotten offended, I want to talk to you. I want you to get on my schedule and I want you to talk to me about what you're feeling and what you're going through. And I'll see if there's anything I can do to help you fix that and get you from where you are today to where you really want to be and then where you need to be in order to make a difference in the lives of others moving forward. Now, I don't care if you are a W-2 worker, you earn a W-2 wage, you're self-employed, you live on inheritance. I don't care, right? We're all here in this earth together, and we all have to make sound decisions in order to promote a healthy society. We all have to make good decisions. And when we start making bad decisions, it's not good for anybody, not us, not anybody around us, not our family, not our clients, no one wins. All right. So thank you very much for tuning in today. My job was not to offend you, but to lift you up, to help build you up, to help get you from where you are today to where you want to be. So until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.